Welcome to episode 5.3 of podcasts where we discuss Spreaker for uploading. The first thing you want to do is to go to Spreaker.com to upload your podcast. The reason why you're using a site such as Spreaker instead of just uploading it straight to your website is so that your podcast shows up as a podcast, not just an isolated audio file. So doing this will make a podcast player as well as the episode. Another reason is that we're not going to be learning how to do this now, but perhaps in another 3P series we'll discuss RSS feeds, which is something that sites like Spreaker make. And an RSS feed is something that you can use to upload your podcast to things like iTunes and Spotify so that people can search for your podcast on those sites as well as just finding it on your website. So, first click sign up. And then you'll enter your name, email, and all of those things. So once you have an account, click log in and sign in with your information. And then go to the Create tab, where you will upload your files. So, click Upload, and it says the regular file formats. We have MP3. So, you click on the podcast that you want to upload, click Open, and then it will upload and you have the chance to write information about your podcast. So, just to make the title a little bit more catchy. And then you can enter an episode description, you can enter tags, and you can choose the show in which to put it. This is something that, as I said before with the RSS feed, that's for if you want to be able to upload it to things like iTunes and Spotify. So I would suggest unticking this box. So, also creating a show. So there's already a show that we've created for these podcasts, but say you didn't have one, because you wouldn't have one if you're logging in for the first time. So you click New, you put in the title, you can choose a picture. So we've used the logo, but if you have time and the interest, you can create a new logo just for the podcast and refer back to episode 1 for how to create a logo in Canva. So, that's how you would create a new podcast, but I'm selecting this one. And so then you just click Publish. And so then you can click here to find the information on the podcast. So, click Embed. And now here's some things to edit for your podcast player. So, in terms of main featured episode, you can choose latest episode, which might be good for something like daily scripture readings or sermons, something like that. But you also have the option of choosing another episode. So there's only one episode in the series so far, but say we had multiple episodes would show up there, and you could click on one to be your main or featured episode. And that would be good if you had something like an introductory episode that you'd want everyone to listen to before they listen to the other content. So say maybe it's an introduction to your priest, or common questions that people ask, things like that, that would kind of introduce people to your podcast. So that's something you can do. You can also click on a playlist, so one will play right after the other. You can pick a theme for this podcast player. So right now it's on light. You can click dark as well, so it will show up like that. You can also choose a photo for the background. And then you can choose the player's width and height. So as it says, the minimum is 200, and there's also ones for the height. One thing to note, that if you're doing the height, that's less than 200, let's say you put it 100, you'll see that the picture that was there, the logo, is now gone, because it no longer fits into the podcast box. So it's up to you whether you want to include the picture or not. I think it's nice to do so, but you obviously don't have to. Okay, so once you're happy with how it looks, go over here where it says embed the following code, click on this and choose iframe embed, because that's how Wix sites do it. But if you aren't using a Wix site, it's fine to use JavaScript, or if you're using a WordPress site, you can choose WordPress embed, but we're using Wix, and that's what we're using for now. So click copy for next to the link, and then go to your website. It's an old podcast, so I'm getting rid of it. And then the process of adding the actual player is very simple. It should be familiar to you. It's like we did with the Google apps. So click on the app market, type in HTML iframe, click on that, click add to site, and then you'll get your little grey box again. And it's more of the same techniques for as with the Google apps. So you click on code, you add your code, and you click update. So then you have the player there, and you can stretch it out to its full length so that you can see the image and the podcast button. Then click save, and now you have your podcast on your site. So just a note, this episode on podcasts is the last content bearing episode for the 3Ps Digital Literacy Programme. So this week in the workshop we'll be talking more about Audacity. We'll be troubleshooting using Spreaker. We might be trying out a few more tricks in Audacity, and as I mentioned with the RSS feed, we might be talking about that a bit if you are open to it. And then that's it. And then the week following we will be doing a conclusion, neatening up our websites, just making sure that they look good, and discussing what will happen next. So I hope to see you at the remaining workshops. Bye.